Let me ask you something. When you make a purchase, are you enjoying it or are you already looking at its worth? Today we talk about an uncomfortable truth in watch collecting, and that's, does resale value kill the joy of collecting? Let's get into it. Collecting used to be emotional. You bought something because you like it. You wore it, you kept it. But somewhere along the line, we've sort of financialized these hobbies. We're talking about what's the floor, what's the dealer buy. We take out spreadsheets to try and figure out what the market will be in 6 months, in a year. And I really think that has hurt the hobby. Now, I'm not against it. I have an investor mindset myself when I look at assets like watches, like bullion, even something like Pokemon cards. But at what point does the returns or the potential returns of collecting something turn into diminishing returns when you're no longer enjoying it because you're already thinking about how to exit it correctly? Now, in my mind, there's two archetypes. You have the collector and you have the investor. And when it comes to the investor, they are thinking analytically. They're buying based on market trends and liquidity. They are not emotional and they think about the opportunity cost of having a piece. When you're a collector, you buy what you like. You are not constantly checking comps. You're wearing the piece often because you like it. Here's the problem though. A lot of people think they are investors when in reality they're really just anxious investors. And that's the problem. I mean, if you can't wear a watch because you're worried that getting a scratch on it will depreciate it by 10%, then you're not a collector. You're an investor. And that's totally fine. But you need to understand that archetype and then build your collection accordingly. And this is something that I experience every day as a watch dealer. I mean, as early as last week, I had somebody purchase an item, pay me in full, and then tell me, hey, I'm having some second thoughts. I don't know when the market's going to be in 6 months to a year. And he actually had me consign the watch for him. But again, that's where the problem lies. Um, I think that if you are not really focused on enjoying the watch, um, you can really screw with your head. I mean, so many people tell me. Also, a question I get a lot is, how close to retail is it, or how much above retail is this item? And for some reason, they think that buying something retail is a safe haven. But I can tell you, again, even though it sounds safe, most dealers know the market. A lot of them try to buy for um, below retail. Markets shift all the time. So something that as I mentioned with this previous client, was you know on an upward trend, maybe on a downward trend 6 months later. And if you enjoy the watch and you're wearing it every day, you don't really care to mind if it's if it's down $500 over the course of 6 months. 6 months from now, it's going to be up another $500 to $1,000. And when people tell me watches are investments, I look at them very skeptically, but I also say to myself, it's an investment if you are holding for the long term. If you've had something for years and years and give it a time to depreciate and discontinue from the, Rolex catalog or whatever brand it is, um, then yeah, it can be an investment. But buying something in January and selling it in February because it doesn't quit fit quite right is not, it's not an investment. And when people do that, and when they offer me these pieces 6 weeks, 2 months, 3 months after they purchase them, hoping to uh, make some money, or hoping that the market went up. Unless it's something like the big three, Rolex, Patek, AP, even Vacheron, it's very unlikely. So they're going to be very disappointed in the numbers that we give. And it's not because I'm trying to lowball anybody or give anybody not a fair shake. It's because, one, we're in the business to make money, but two, um, you know, if your time horizon is too small, then you're not really being an investor. And if you are so worried about the market, then you're not a collector either. Now, where I land as someone who is an investor and a collector is somewhere in the middle. I think that you should wear a watch and let it live its life, enjoy it, maybe get a couple scratches on it, but know where you land when you try and resell it. Something that a lot of dealers have coined, especially in the secondary market, is bottom cash value. So if I say to myself, hey, the bottom cash value of this item is $2,000 or $3,000, I'm gonna buy it for four. Okay, my risk is $1,000, and when you change that mindset and you shift to looking at bottom cash value, and you shift to, hey, you know what, I'm going to enjoy this item. um, I just think your entire experience as a watch collector changes. First of all, I mean, this might be a controversial statement. I don't think that you should be buying an item that you can't afford because you think it may go up in value. Of course, I'd love your business. Of course, I'd love to work with you. But if you want to be financially responsible and financially literate, I think the name of the game is to not just buy things because you think they're investments, or don't buy things you don't like because you think they're investments. The amount of times I've had people say, "Hey, what should I buy if I have X amount? 5,000, 10,000, 20,000, $100,000." Buy what you like, and if it happens to go up in value, great. And looking at that bottom cash value um, component, I say you have to think about it like this: if I buy something for 5,000, I wear it for a year, and I get to sell it to somebody for 3,500, then really my loss is $1,500. I got to wear a watch that in some cases retails for $8,000 to $10,000 for $1,500. And when you look at it that way, I think it is a much better. Um, you just turn around, and you feel better about your collection. And there's nothing wrong with being an investor, but you need to be a dedicated and uh, an investor that understands the time horizon of money and these assets. Somebody who wants to buy something just to make a quick flip, they're maybe a backpack dealer or an anxious investor, but they are not collectors. And that's just something to keep in mind. Buy your collection because you like it, and having an increase in value should be a happy accident, or maybe not an accident. Of course, know the market before you buy, but it should be an extra bonus to um, having these timepieces in your collection. So I guess the final question, or the final answer to, does resale value kill the joy of collecting? I think it can. I think if you bought a watch and you can't really enjoy it because it dips in value, you didn't buy it because you liked it. You bought it emotionally. And anybody who buy something emotionally cannot truly be an investor in watches. They can't be a real investor in anything, because markets go up and down. Whether it's trading cards, watches, stocks, houses, um, and you need to make sure that you buy at a point that you're comfortable wearing the piece. And I guess the real question I would ask yourself If you are looking at building a collection and you're trying to figure out what archetype you fit under, is are you building a collection, or do you just kind of want to build this tradable inventory that you try on some pieces every once in a while, you get to wear them for a couple months, and then you give them to someone else or you trade them out for something else. Um, as long as you're building with intention, I think that you are setting yourself up for success. If you are buying something just because you think it'll go up in value, I think you'll be disappointed. And I know that I was in the past when I was just collecting watches and not a watch dealer yet. Anyway, thanks for giving this a watch. And if you're listening, please, leave some comments below on your opinions on, if resale value will kill collection. And yeah, as always, I appreciate you guys giving this a listen. Um, catch us on the next one. We tend to do one or two of these a week, and I always enjoy doing them. Thanks so much.